Hi, it's Victor Cheng, this time with an executive briefing on the topic of the difference between pre-selling and selling. Now, when you market your products and services, you can take fundamentally two approaches. You can sort of focus on selling your products, or you can focus on pre-selling them. And let me explain what the differences are and when you want to use each approach, because they are very useful but for very different situations. A sales approach in your marketing is one that focuses on why you ought to buy a particular product or service. Classic example would be sort of consumer packaged goods. Tide, why you should buy Tide. It's new, it's improved. It's been improved for 45 years. Apparently every year it's new and improved. And they have, Tide with bleach, Tide without bleach, Tide with color safe bleach, and they give you reasons why you ought to buy Tide and you ought to buy it now. And that's sort of taking a sales approach in your marketing. And that approach works extremely well when your prospects understand the problems they have, know they want to solve the problem, and are simply trying to decide between vendors. Okay? So for the typical purchaser of laundry detergent, they know what laundry is. They know they want it clean. They know they do not like dirty laundry. So you focus on selling the product and the service. And that's the kind of classical example of when you'd use that. So if you're in a market where your prospects know exactly what's wrong, they know they want to solve it, they know they're willing to pay to solve it, and it's simply a matter of picking vendors. In your marketing, you want to take a sort of traditional sales approach. Tell them why they ought to buy from you. Now, if a pre-selling is a little bit different. Pre-selling doesn't really focus on mentioning the product or service in your marketing. It really focuses on selling the problem. So when you pre-sell products and service, what you're doing really is you're really selling the problem that the product and service solves. Let me give you an example. Going back to consumer packaged goods, mostly because people understand it. The company that invented body deodorant, many decades ago, they struggled. The company that first came out with it struggled for about 20 years trying to convince prospective customers to buy body deodorant. And I didn't actually go look up the advertisements, but my guess is that since it's a consumer packaged goods company, they were likely focused on trying to sell the product. And that's the wrong approach, because the problem with selling body deodorant before people understood this was most consumers didn't realize they had a problem. They didn't understand the concept of body odor. They didn't understand why it was bad. So if you sold a body deodorant that was about, it glides on easy, it doesn't leave any stains behind, it smells good, all these sort of the same way you'd market Tide, it probably wouldn't work, because people don't want to buy solutions to problems they don't think they have. The better approach would be to sell the problem in that case, right? So, back when people didn't understand the problem very well, it would have been better to say, when you're on that date with that girl you want to impress, do you really want to stink, right? That's like a bad thing. So you're selling the problem. No mention of deodorant by you, mind you, just mentioning the problem. Or if you're trying to impress a client or land a new job, ask for a raise or promotion. Do you really think it's going to be effective if you stink, right? That's an example of pre-selling. You don't mention products, you don't mention services, you simply emphasize the problem, and you help the prospect get awareness of the problem so they better understand it and get to a point where they want to solve it. Now, pre-selling works extremely well when your product and your services does a fantastic job of solving the problem it's designed to solve, but prospects don't perceive themselves as having that problem or having the same severity of the problem that would warrant making an investment in buying a product or service. So that's the thing you have to understand. Take a look at your market. Do customers know exactly what the problem is and are determined to solve it? Or do they sort of, have maybe a vague sense something is wrong, but haven't reached the conclusion that the problem is worth solving, or perhaps they misunderstand the problem, or perhaps they underestimate the problem, or they've been misinformed about the problem. Any sort of bad information about the problem, when your market's in that category, you're much better off really shifting a lot of your marketing efforts to pre-selling, the pre-selling approach, really emphasizing the problem. And that's one of the things we do with our clients here at Brook Marshall Productions, is we help clients pre-sell the problems that their customers face. And we have sort of a rule of thumb here. Again, customers don't buy solutions to problems they don't think they have, right? So I'll give you an example. If you sold aspirin, right, and your clients and your prospects don't perceive themselves as having a headache, it makes no sense to sell like extra strength aspirin. It makes no sense to sell like the extra large bottle of aspirin, the convenience pack, the easy to swallow gel tabs. All of that is irrelevant. It doesn't matter one bit if the prospect doesn't think they have a headache. right? So taking a traditional sales approach to buy this, it's better, it's faster, it's cheaper, whatever, that doesn't work when the prospect fundamentally doesn't think they have a problem. So the better approach really is, in that situation, is to really emphasize the problem. So I'll give you another example. So since we're on the topic of painkillers, which I think can apply to a lot of different markets conceptually. Now there's this painkiller called Excedrin, which is geared towards migraine headaches. Okay. Now the thing with migraine headaches is, at least for me, I don't think I've ever had one, but I don't really know for sure, right? And you could sell Excedrin by saying buy now, faster, better for migraines. But if the prospects aren't really sure, what a migraine is, or how do you tell if you have one or not, then you're better off sort of early in the marketing efforts to really start selling the problem. Giving people tools and advice on how do you tell if you have a migraine? Well, it's pressure up here, but not back here, or whatever it is. To this day, I still don't know if I have a migraine. I do know that if I have a migraine, I'm supposed to go buy Excedrin because they tell me that. But for the life of me, I don't really know if I have a migraine or not. And maybe I've never had. I don't know. But that's the problem. See, I don't perceive myself as having that problem, and therefore I sort of never buy Excedrin because I can't tell if I have a migraine or not. So again, looking at your own market, do your customers understand the problems in a crystal clear format? They're certain they want to solve it. And in that case, use the more traditional approach to sort of marketing, using a sales approach. But if they misunderstand the problem, they're confused, then take more of a pre-selling approach. And again, I mentioned that's what we do with bookmercials and with our clients, is we use bookmercials, which is a proprietary format of book designed to pre-sell problems that ultimately lead people and prospects and readers to buy particular products and services for our clients. And what we do is, in a bookmercial, we spend probably 80%, 90% of the pages inside of a bookmercial really explaining the problem in great detail, simple language, easy to understand analogies. And we make it crystal clear, really simply put, how do you know if you have a problem, and why is the problem bad? Why does the problem need to be solved right now? And again, we really delay talking about products and services to really late in the process, because again, if the customer doesn't think they have a problem, they don't buy any solution, right? So it's not about selling harder or selling more. It's about making sure your prospects have already bought into the problem before you start using traditional sales and marketing techniques. So that's my thought for the day on this executive brief. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, and have a great day.